By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, I will reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. Okay. So we're going to start with the meditation. So get in your meditation position, whatever that may be, get comfortable. Your head should be level, your shoulders relaxed, eyes lowered or closed, spine is straight. Watch our breath for 2 rounds of 10, trying to not be distracted. If you are distracted, start counting again from 0, and I'll count the breath. So watch your breath until you hear from me again. Need to shift, go ahead and do so, but we'll start the meditation. You're standing outside the building in front of an ornate yellow door, which has on it the sign, "Death is certain." You open the door, it swings into the room to the left. You step inside. The room is circular. It's nice and cool inside. You start to relax. Then you hear a sound to your right and a large, vicious animal. You're not quite sure what kind. All you know is it has large teeth and it lunges at you, but it's restrained by a chain to be just out of reach. It's snarling and snapping. It can't wait to sink its teeth into you. The circular room represents the wheel of life, and the vicious beast is the Lord of death. If he gets a hold of you, your death is a certainty. When your karma for this life runs out, it's as if the chain restraining this beast breaks and you are toast. You move to the center of the room and see a large hourglass standing on a table waist high. The opalescent sand is flowing down quickly. For me, it's more than halfway down since I'm 70 in the latter half of my lifespan, if things don't change. This represents your life leaking away, the pervasive suffering of once you're born, you're already starting to die. The hourglass is affixed to the table. You can't turn it over. Nothing can stop the flow. You realize you can't take a rest. You must move on. You look beyond the table and see a corridor leading from the room. Because your life is slipping away, as represented by the sand in the hourglass, you run through to the opening and into the corridor. Your urgency is stopped for a minute because you realize along the wall on the left are all the certificates that you earned by finishing the ACI courses, as well as all the teachings you've been to of any teacher, His Holiness, Geshe Michael, etc. You realize there's so many teachings and so many of them you haven't paid attention to because you've been busy going to teachings, but you haven't been practicing the teachings. All these represent the fact that there's never enough time to study. There's always something pulling you away. And sometimes, unfortunately, that can be the desire to go to many, many Dharma teachings, but not practice that which is taught. It's very important, if you're going to go to a Dharma teaching, to practice what they teach you. You continue down the corridor, moving along quickly. At the end of the corridor is a green door with a sign that says, "Time of death is uncertain." You open this green door and you step into a triangular room. Again, the door swings into the left. You're at the point of an equilateral triangle, and across the room from you is the base, and with it there's a red door. There's a coffee table in front of you. You're basically in your living room. On the coffee table is a calendar, and it has your 76th birthday circled on it. You recall that lifespans are not fixed. It's a misunderstanding to think you'll live to 76. Half the people live to 76, half the people don't. You walk past the calendar and you find yourself, as I said, in your living room. You see all the stuff in your living room, but you know somewhere in all of it is a figurative tripwire that will set off a bomb that will kill you. This is the realization that there's so much that can kill you in life and so little to sustain you. You look at each object and wonder, is this what could kill me? The beautiful glass coffee table with the sharp corners, you could trip and fall. Now that you have Parkinson, you could trip and fall, hit your head on the corner, and kill yourself that way. You look at this beautiful lamp, and you see the frayed lamp cord and the switch that you keep meaning to fix because once you turn the lamp on, the switch gets really hot. So there's something wrong with the switch, but you keep saying you'll get to it, and you never do. That could shock you and kill you. It could start a fire that would kill you. You turn and walk to your kitchen, and you see in the kitchen a toaster and sharp knives. The toaster seems innocuous until you remember the story a friend of yours told you about his sitting at the table having breakfast one morning, and the toaster just spontaneously burst into flame. A toaster, something as silly and as mundane as a toaster, could catch on fire and burn your apartment or house down. You look at the sharp knives. You're on blood thinners now, and if you cut yourself, you would have trouble stopping the bleeding. So something as simple as kitchen knives that you use every day could be the cause of your death. The idea here is you don't know what could kill you. It's not to be paranoid and upset and worried about something killing you. It's to remember that there are many things in life that could kill you, and so few that can support you. You walk across a thick plush rug toward the red door, and you feel something prick your foot. So you sit down and you look at the sole of your left foot, the shoe, and you see a thumbtack. You stepped on that thumbtack that you dropped a week ago and didn't bother to pick up. So now you have a puncture wound on your left foot. You take your shoe off, you take your sock off, and it's bleeding just a little bit, but it is bleeding. It's a puncture wound. That's one of the worst kind of wounds you can get because the contamination may be inside your foot instead of on the surface. All because you didn't bother to pick up that thumbtack that you dropped a week ago. So something as mundane as stepping on a thumbtack could be the source of an infection and kill you. This makes you recall the body is very fragile. Mutation in DNA from a single cosmic ray or due to a pollution chemical is all it takes to take you from living a wonderful life to suddenly finding out you're on your way out. So now you're in front of a red door, and on the red door it says, "Only the Dharma can help." So recall your holy being. Ask them to come and stay in your heart to guide you throughout the day. They're happy to do so. They shrink down to 3 inches in size. Rise up, turn to face the way you are, come to the top of your head, shrink down again to the size of a pea, and descend into your central channel to the level of your heart. They stay in your heart and imagine a crystal room where they stay. Their love and compassion radiate throughout your body, and anytime you need them, they're there to help. You can open your eyes now. I have a feeling I spaced on the preliminaries. I apologize for that. I've had some computer trouble this morning, so that got me a little upset. Okay. So the third principle of the three that we're talking about is only the Dharma can help. So let me share the computer again. So let's go share. Screen 1. And whoops. Down over to there. Here. Go to here and share. There we go. You're all seeing the share class 3, I hope. And Rashna, the order of the classes has changed a little bit. So this isn't exactly, I've condensed from 6 to 5 classes. So it'll be a little bit different than last weekend. Okay, so we're at class 3. Only the Dharma will help. So there are 3 aspects of this that we need to discuss. Friends and relatives don't help. They hang around, treat you with nicely, but as your system breaks down, you hallucinate, and it doesn't help. You can't recognize anything or anyone around you. They beg you not to leave, but they can't come with you. You've interacted with these people all your lives in some fashion, but at your death, it's you and you alone. Additionally, and this is something that would probably be distressing if we don't have this death meditation to prepare us, you will soon be forgotten by many that knew you, in the sense that they'll remember you at your birthday, but not as an everyday part of life. This is another type of being alone. Material possessions don't help. Your physical senses are shut down early in the death process, and you can't perceive external things such as food or money or clothes. None of the things you collected in your life can go with you. For many of us, 5 days a week are spent in pursuit of earning money so we can eat, own a car, a house, etc. We are, in a sense, selling a part of ourselves to get these things. We do what it takes to get the money, to get the stuff we want. When we die, none of that matters, except the last part, doing what it takes to get what we want. Your stuff you took such care of, you love so much, in my case, back in the day, my truck, my tools, my computer, will all go to somebody else who may or may not care at all about any of it. The solution for us, and the point of this death meditation, death awareness, is not to give everything away and go to a Dharma center and expect to be taken care of. Instead, right livelihood, serving you and your family's needs without excess, arranging your life to live modestly and with spiritual practice as your highest priority. Now, having said that, so you have a family, you have a spouse, maybe you have kids, maybe you don't. Do you give all that up? No, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is get your priorities straight. For those of you that have family members or a spouse, they're very high karmic objects. So practicing, doing your practice towards them is a very high practice. So if you're thinking what I'm saying is to give everything up, I'm not. I'm saying put it in perspective. Review what you own slowly, without regret. Start to simplify your life. Start to put the emphasis where it should be. In the case of the family and kids and a spouse, make the emphasis be on how you can serve them instead of working much harder to get another gadget. So the last item, not quite the last item, In the United States, for the longest time, when I was growing up, before I learned better, the person with the most toys, the person who dies with the most toys wins. So the more stuff you accumulated, the more successful you were. But in our case now, we realize that's not the case. Success isn't denoted by how much stuff you've collected, how many cars you own, how many houses. Think of all the movie stars that have multiple houses, multiple cars, airplanes and things. That's an indication of wealth, which for them is an important thing to have. In our case, wealth, Dharma wealth is what we're looking for, not monetary. So it isn't the fact of who collects the most toys wins. However, having said that, it isn't a matter in our Dharma career, as we said, going down the corridor, to collect lots of teachings but not practice them. His Holiness once said at a teaching I was at, and the actor Richard Gere, who's one of His Holiness's students, was there. And he said that he was really proud of Richard because he was finally starting to practice everything His Holiness had taught him. He had finally found the time to not be acting, but to practice all the teachings he'd received. So it's more important to have a few teachings that you practice well than it is to have a lot of teachings but you don't practice at all. Yes, it's good to have the teaching that plants certain seeds, but if you don't do the practice, that's what really is the problem, because you don't plant the seeds in a way that they'll ripen in the way you want. Being rich or poor doesn't matter. Your body doesn't help at the end. You lose your body and only your mind is left. Only your mind and its imprints. As you die, your mind selects a karma, and that karma becomes activated. That karma expands like an atom bomb and largely determines your next life. So let's just review for a minute karma. What's the definition of karma? Movement of the mind and what it inspires us to do or say. And really stop and think about that. I was talking to my lovely wife recently, and I said, I don't really get mad at people anymore. So I'm getting rid of that karma, those seeds. I'm burning those seeds off. And she said, well, I hear you getting mad at yourself quite often. I get frustrated with my Parkinson's and my voice recognition software, which allows me to write since I can't type anymore. And apparently I say out loud what I apparently am thinking. And so I'm getting mad at myself. Karma is this movement of the mind and what it inspires us to do or say. So even though I'm not getting mad at another person, I'm planting seeds to have angry people in my life because I'm getting mad at myself. Movement of the mind. So the hardest thing to do, I think, with karma is to forget this point. Movement of the mind. So if you're angry, but you don't get mad, that's great, but you still got angry. So you're still setting a seed for anger in your future life. Movement of the mind. So keep that in mind, so to speak. Be careful what you think, and remember that as you have movement of the mind, whether or not you do something with your body and speech, you're still creating the karma. So why is this important? Well, let's wait a minute. Let's do one more thing. Let's go through the laws of karma. Karma is definite, That means a good deed produces a good result. A bad deed produces a bad result. Karma increases. This is an interesting story. When I first started learning about karma, I heard that it doubled every 24 hours, geometrically. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I tried looking to find where that came from. I couldn't find anything in my limited collection of Dharma materials. So when I was in South Africa, I asked a Halampa Geshe that I was introduced to about that. And he said, because I said the only place I found it is a commentary on the Vajrayogini Tantra by Pabonka Rinpoche. And I'm not saying Pabonka Rinpoche doesn't know what he's talking about, but certainly that's not true. But I wondered where the double came from, where in Lord Buddha's teachings. And there really isn't a point where he says it doubles. He says, the Salampa Geshe said, it's not that it doubles. It's not important that it doubles every 24 hours. The point is it increases constantly. So small good deed grows to a great big good deed. And likewise, a small bad deed grows into a large bad deed. So we have to be careful what we do just because of that. So my wife and I talk about this idea of low-level radiation and low-level radiance. Low-level radiation refers to the fact that it's a small, low-level radiation can cause cancer and kill you. So it's a low-level radiation of the small bad deeds we do that grows and grows and grows into a large bad deed. And the low-level radiance are all the small good things we do that grow into larger and larger good things that will result in a good ripening. So keep that in mind. It's really important to keep that in mind. You cannot take on someone else's karma. And karma must ripen. Now, for those of you that know about the 4 powers of purification, that doesn't mean that karma won't ripen. It just means you can lessen the intensity of the ripening karma. We're not going to go into the 4 powers of purification now. But the idea here, the 4th law says if you've done something good or bad, it must ripen. It can ripen in this life, the next life, or any life in the future. So now we're going to a different way of looking at karma. There's projecting karma that throws you into your next birth. The strongest karma throughout your life determines the overall type of life in your next birth. So what does that mean? If you have a habit of annoying people, then that's going to determine the type of your future next life. If you have a habit of helping and serving people, then that's going to ripen in your next life as a pleasant experience where you get what you need. Completing or finishing karma, that's what provides the details. The projection karma gives the rough idea of what your life's going to be. The projecting or finishing karma gives the details. So there's permutations of this that Geshe-la presented. There's good projecting and bad finishing. Good projecting karma, you get a human rebirth. Bad finishing, you're always sick. Bad projecting, good finishing, you have a hell rebirth, but you're in charge of hell. Good projecting, good finishing, you have human rebirth and you become enlightened. Bad projecting, bad finishing, You have a hell rebirth and endless torment. When you die, you feel that your body has let you down, and you could get angry, something you don't want to do. The key is the more we're attracted to our bodies as ourselves, the more attached and more frightened we will be at death. Realize that all you are left with at death is your mind stream continuing, full of all the karmic seeds of this recent and past lives. This is what matters, because in light of our normal attitudes, we most likely have many selfish deeds and few selfless deeds in our mind stream. So only our body and mind, our body, if we're angry at our body failing us at death, that's not what we want to have in our mind stream, because the mind stream's all that comes with us. It's the only thing that continues at death. Your karma comes with you. If you're taking the bodhisattva vows, they come with you. So what do we do? What can we do to generate the kind of environment, the kind of thought process we want to be permeating our mind stream at the point of death? So these are some quotes from go to Master Shantideva's Guide to a Bodhisattva's Way of Life. When, just as I am about to act, I see that my mind is tainted with defilement, at such a time I should remain unmovable like a piece of wood. Whenever there is attachment and whenever there is a desire to be angry, I should not do anything nor say anything, but remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I have distracted thoughts, the wish to verbally belittle others, feelings of self-importance or self-satisfaction, when I have the intention to describe the faults of others, retention in the thought to deceive others, whenever I am eager for praise or have desire to blame others, whenever I have the wish to speak harshly and cause dispute, at all such times I should remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I desire material gain, honor, or name, whenever I seek attendance or a circle of friends, when in my mind I wish to be served, at all these times I should remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I have the wish to decrease or to stop working for others, and the desire to pursue my welfare alone, if, motivated by such thoughts, a wish to say something occurs, at this time I should remain like a piece of wood. Whenever I have impatience, laziness, or cowardice, shamelessness, or the desire to talk nonsense, if thoughts of partiality arise, at these times too I should remain like a piece of wood. So the idea there is, catch yourself, think about what you're about to do, and if it's not the right thing to do, stop and remain like a piece of wood, say nothing. Thus, by the virtue collected through all that I have done, may the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. These are the thoughts we should be having when we're dying. May I be the doctor and the medicine. May I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. May a rain of food and drink descend to clear away the pain of thirst and hunger. And during the eon of famine, may I myself change into food and drink. May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor and destitute. May I turn into all the things they could need. May these be placed close beside them. Without any sense of loss, I'll give up my body and enjoyments as well as my virtues of all three times for the sake of benefiting all. May all who say bad things to me or cause me any other kind of harm, may those who mock me and insult me have the fortune to be fully awakened. May I be a protector for those without one, a guide for all travelers on the way. May I be a bridge, a boat, or a ship for all those who wish to cross the river. May I be an island for those who seek one, a lamp for those who desire light. May I be a bed for all those who wish to rest, and a slave for all those who want to slave. So, what does this really mean? We need to have 3 resolutions as we think about our death meditation, our death awareness. Knowing I must die, I resolve to start my practice. Since I could die at any moment, I resolve to quit my worldly concerns and start my practice now. This doesn't mean quit your job. This doesn't mean move away from your family. It means stop thinking about keeping up with the Joneses, collecting the most toys wins kind of an attitude, and get your priorities straight. Make the time in the morning or in the evening to do your practice, which actually brings up a comment that was made many, many years ago from me at a teaching when Geshe Michael was doing his 3-year retreat. One of the teachers was a well-known teacher from Australia, Ceylon Lee. And he said, I constantly hear people say, I did my practice this morning. Your practice is 24/7. All day, while you're awake, you're doing your practice. You're treating other people properly. You're serving others. You just don't think about that on your cushion, get up and go back to your mundane life. So get your priorities straight. Start your practice now, but that doesn't mean just on your cushion. That means taking the teachings from this course or any of the teachings you've had in the past and practice. And lastly, since nothing else can help when I die, I resolve to concentrate on my practice. This means your internal spiritual practices, your mind, your actions, your compassion, memorizing things, doing your sadhana practices. These are all external practices. They help, but they don't change your habits from selfish to otherish unless you put them into actions of your body, speech, and mind. So you can read all you want about emptiness, but when you see something that's treated as if it's self-existent, all that teaching and learning about emptiness goes out the window. You need to practice what you've been taught. So again, I say, your past is your present, and your present is your future. If you don't like your present, that's a result of past deeds, which you can't undo, but you can make sure your response to those situations now is with wisdom and your understanding of karma and emptiness. Make sure you're not planting the seeds for things you don't want. I don't want to have Parkinson's anymore. I don't want to have Parkinson's in the future. So what I need to do now is focus my attention, among many other things, focus my attention on helping others when they need it, not being an inconvenience to others. That's the kind of thing that's going to stop something like Parkinson's, an inconvenience to me, from happening in the future. That's the only thing that's going to make that happen. One of my teachers, Lama Christie, when I told her I had Parkinson's, said, this is going to sound strange, David, but this is a wonderful chance to purify that terrible thing in a way that you won't have it in the future. So see this as burning off the karma. Don't respond to it in an angry, self-existent way, and you will have purified something for your future lives. I've often talked about how when I got diagnosed, I thought of the how and the why. I didn't think, oh, this isn't fair. Why me? I wasn't supposed to have this problem in my future, in my older age. My parents didn't have it. None of my relatives had it. I didn't think any of that. I thought the minute I got diagnosed, I thought, this is my karma ripening for having inconvenienced people in the past. I need to be sure not to inconvenience people now. And as I do the deed of helping someone, I need to dedicate it to my future enlightenment. That's what I love about Buddhism. For me, Buddhism means it's my fault, only I can correct it. What power that gives me is immense. If it's someone else's fault, then I have nothing I can do about it. That's frustrating. But since it is my fault, it's my karma, I can do something about it. That to me is very empowering. Okay, so that's in the slideshow. Let me get this off. I'll turn sharing back off. Okay. So the three resolutions, that's kind of the bottom line to what we're getting out of this. Okay, so we're going to do a brief meditation about what we just talked about. So get comfortable. We won't go through the preliminaries. Watch your breath. 2 rounds of 10. I'll count them. So you're in front of a red door. On the door is a sign that says, only the Dharma can help. You open the door to the left and step inside. shut the door. You enter a corridor like a greenhouse. You can see outside, but it's one-way glass, so nobody outside can see you. You stop. On both sides of the corridor, you see your loved ones and your closest friends. They're having a good time and are unaware of you. You bang on the glass to get your attention, thinking, hey, don't forget me. You're angry that they've already forgotten you. Remember, they will forget you. Continue walking, and now you see a room on both sides that is full of all your stuff, but it's no longer organized. It's just tossed into boxes, strangers pouring through it like it at an estate sale. Perhaps your beloved truck is there, and several people are poking around, pointing out the scratches, the worn seat covers. That's your truck. You're making comments about my truck. You can't take any of the possessions with you, and you're upset that you cannot get to them or that others don't care. You don't want to have those thoughts as you're dying. Now you get to the end of the corridor. You find yourself in a morgue. There's a corpse on a gurney. You look carefully at it, and it's your body. The face is featureless, unrecognizable, but you know it's your body. You recall that you can't take your body with you. Your face, your name, your identity of this past life is gone. So what does come with me? My karma, my bodhisattva vows, and nothing else. The entity that is Sumati or David, whatever name I go by, doesn't come with me. My mind stream does. The mind stream that was part of David or Sumati continues. But the David or the Sumati of this life is finished. So yes, that entity has died, but the entity is really the mind stream. So I have no fear, no concern about disappearing or dying when I die. I know that I will come back in another life. My mind stream will ripen into another body, and I'll continue on. You turn back into the corridor and see a white door with the words, 3 resolutions. You open the door and step into a turret-shaped room, like in a castle. High up on the wall is a diamond-shaped window, and a beam of light shines down into the center of the room. To your left, leaning against the wall, is a staff slightly taller than you. It's wooden with a silver handle. You reach out with your left hand. It's important that it be your left hand. Take the staff, and it fits perfectly like it was made just for you. As you take it, you say to yourself, if it is sure that I'm going to die, I decide now to start my spiritual practice. You take one step forward, starting with your left foot towards the beam of sunlight, but you're not in it yet. As you do, you pound the staff on the ground. You hear the sharp noise that it makes, and this represents your decision. If I don't know when I'm to die, I must start my spiritual practice now, and I must quit my worldly way of thinking. The key here is you must not quit your worldly life in the sense of giving everything up and moving to a cave. You must quit your worldly way of thinking. You must think of how to serve and help others. Step forward again, starting with the left foot into the sunlight. You raise the staff high over your head. This represents your decision. If nothing but my spiritual practice can help me, then I devote myself to my spiritual practice. There is no point in doing anything less, and I strive for the highest practice. You look to the right and see a door of royal blue that's shimmering. You lower the staff and point to it. It is the highest spiritual practice. On the door are the words Dakshin Namje, exchanging self for others. The door starts to open, but we're not going through it until tomorrow, later, the next class. So now we're going to focus our attention tomorrow, the next class, on what we need to do and consciously be doing now, having taken this class, this course, for the rest of your life. Exchanging self for others. Okay, you can open your eyes. So let's dedicate what we've just done. By the goodness of what we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So next class, we do the final part of the meditation. Very important final part. Please be on time. And the last class, which will be tomorrow morning, will be the complete meditation and then questions and answers at the end. So if you have any questions, please ask them now. And otherwise, we'll see you at, let's see, I'm going to be, it's 3 hours. I'm going to see you all at 1 p.m. my time. So let me check. I'll make sure we're on this. I'll see everybody at 1 p.m. my time, or 2200 hours in Germany and 2300 hours in Moscow. So, questions, please ask away. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Go ahead, Rashna.
Are you able to describe this staff that's a little bit taller than us, that's wooden with a silver handle, in any more detail? I don't have a very clear picture of it.
Well, I like to think of it as, you know, the walking sticks you can buy that are pieces out here. You can buy a piece of saguaro rib or something like that they carve into a really nice walking stick instead of the ones you buy that are telescoping, the trekking sticks. So this is about my height, a little taller, but the handle is such that it fits right into my hand. It can be carved. It can be just, it should be a nice piece of wood that isn't just like a dowel rod. It's nice ornate walking stick.
And you're holding it by the handle, not
yeah, you're holding it by the handle, and you pound it into the ground and make the resolutions. So the idea is to have something that forces you to remember the resolution forcefully, because it's those 3 resolutions that are igniting your practice, so that you'll begin to practice as we've just taught it.
I'm sorry for being so silly about this, but if it's taller than me, so I'm basically holding it like this because it's taller than me?
Well, that's a good point. You know, I hadn't thought about that. I would be holding it at shoulder height. So that isn't taller than you. I'll have to amend the meditation. Let's make it shoulder height. It should be comfortable.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anybody else have a question?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the teachings. And I wanted to ask about projecting and completing karma. Could you please provide some example? What's the difference between projecting and completing karma? Some like from ordinary life example.
Well, yeah, let me think about it a minute. So, okay, I have a propensity for telling jokes. So, if that's my habit, if that's a habit, do I want that habit? And so telling jokes often means you're not taken seriously. So if that's a habit I have, and I have that as my projecting karma, then I'll have the karma to not be taken seriously in my next life, which is something I would dread. I don't want to be ignored. So what I have to be thinking about, and the problem with projecting karma is that you can't just, when you're dying, you can't just say, this is a karma I want to be my projecting karma. It's not that simple. It's what the habit, the overriding karmic habit you have that comes to the surface and becomes your projecting karma. So the whole point of exchanging self and others now is to learn to do that and make that a pervasive practice in your life. So when you die, your projecting karma is serving others, not serving yourself. So the whole point of what we're going to talk about in the next class is to develop the ability to exchange yourself and others, to put yourself in others' shoes. You don't become them in the sense of now you're no longer Svetlana, you're David or Sumati, but you're thinking like them so you can help them not suffer and help them find happiness. Finishing karma would be the details of that. So if you have the projecting karma of serving others, then the finishing karma could be that you quickly learn the Dharma and become a teacher. So you can help all other beings in a very powerful way. Or the finishing karma could be that you reach your enlightenment in your next life because of all the merit you've gained by helping others in this life. So that's the positive. I don't like thinking the negative because I don't like putting that into my mind stream. So I like to think the positive instead.
Can I ask another question about that?
Sure, of course.
Is it, I think I remember something, but I don't remember the details. Is it something that the habits that we have throughout our lives are one of either the projecting or the finishing, and then like the strongest thought we have at the moment of death is the other one between projecting or finishing? But I'm not sure if I've got that completely wrong.
The one you have on your mind at death. So you're thinking about serving others. That's the one that'll be your projecting karma. It's the habit, the most common, the most powerful habit in your life. So if you like to collect things for no reason, well, I don't want to go in the negative because I don't like to plant that seed in my mind. So if you've made it a very strong part of your practice to help others in any way you can, then that should ripen at your death as you're projecting karma, which is why we're studying exchanging self and others and why we teach the Tonglen practice, the 7-step cause and effect and things like that. Then the detail, the finishing karma is the detail. And with that come, maybe the detail is having served others, you have access to all kinds of really great Dharma teachings, or you have access to, or you become a great teacher and you reach here, you see emptiness directly in that next life, all because of serving others and gaining merit by serving others. So we really want, when we die, we really, really, really want to have on our minds that projecting karma. So when I rolled my truck, or recently when I was choking on the grapefruit sections, my first thought wasn't, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm going to miss my lovely wife. This isn't fair. I've got so much more to do. I haven't published my book, blah, 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 blah. My first thought was, I'm about to find out what it's all about. Now, is that my projecting karma? No, that's my first thought. My projecting karma, I didn't get that far. I think if you get that far, you're on your way out. But to me, the encouraging thing, both when I rolled my truck and when I started choking on that grapefruit section, was that I didn't freak out and get worried and have a bunch of regrets project through my mind at that time. Instead, I was curious what was going to happen next. But that all came about because of the death meditation and my practice of the death meditation teachings. That's why I really like to teach the subject, because if I can imbue into your minds, your mind stream, your thought process, your practice, however you want to put it, the idea that you need to be thinking constantly of helping others so that when you die, that's your projecting karma, then I've done my job.
Please stay for many more years.
Well, I'm hoping to. We'll just have to see. I am slowing down. I've noticed that. And I do have trouble organizing my thoughts sometimes. But I'm not giving up.
Thoughts seem very clear to us, I think.
Anybody else have any questions? I hope, Natalia, I was a bit slower. I'm trying to slow down.
It was much little bit slower than yesterday. So thank you, David. It was helpful, and I think my interpretation was easier today for you, like for people who listen to it, to understand. Thank you.
Okay, I'll send you the let's see, class. I'll send you the meditation now for next class, so that you have the English.
Yes,
maybe
please.
make it easier to describe. Okay, I'll do that. I'll remember to do that right now. Okay, everybody, see you in 4 or 5 hours. See you at 300 my time. And what again is that? That's 2200 in Europe and 2300 hours in Moscow. Bye-bye.
Большое спасибо за перевод. Еще раз.
Да, спасибо вам. Надеюсь, сегодня получше было уже. С опытом приходит. Больше было ясности, по-моему. И есть, мне уже пока не нужно больше переводить, или там есть другие, да, переводчики?
Там, в
Следующий урок.